Good evening, St. Lucia, and welcome to For the Record. This program is brought to you by the St. Lucia Labour Party, and it's all about the policies and programs of this governing SLP administration. My name is Jawahir, and I am the Communications Director of the SLP. This evening, we have a very special guest in-house. We have the Chairman of the DCA, the Development Control Authority, Mr. Ignatius Jha, in studio with us. I know some of you would have heard a lot about the PTOR management area and all the fun information that has been circulating about it, but we have the man himself who's been responsible or charged with the responsibility to regulate a lot of what has transpired so far. He's in studio with us, and we'll have a very good discussion with him so we can offer you some clarity. But first, we want to take you back to last week. As you know, the St. Lucia Labour Party celebrated 3 years in office, 3 years of progressive people-first policies. And I'm talking about from Grosley all the way to Viewfort South. Every single member of parliament has been working hard to put you, the people of St. Lucia, first. So we spent some time on the ground last week Friday. It was the anniversary of our victory at the polls, July 26, 2021. And on Friday, July 26, 2024, we were able to celebrate in all 17 constituencies across St. Lucia. We want you to be able to listen to some of the persons and their testimonials. But before we do so, we want to pay a significant and very solemn tribute to Miss Julia Mathre. We'll put her photo up on the screen so you can see who Miss Julia Mathre was. I know for Sir Julian R. Hunt, this is an extreme blow because Mrs. Mathre was part of his campaign when he was the representative going up for Grosley. She has been with many parliamentary reps, from Mario Michel, Mr. Hunt, to Emma Hippolyte, and to now Mr. Kenson Casimir, Honorable Kenson Casimir. Right before the election, Miss Julia had this to say about the parliamentary rep for Grosley, Honorable Kenson Casimir, prior to him being announced as the candidate. Let's take a listen.
Je vais inviter toute madame en Grosley, Kawef, vieux circuit, la rivière mi-temps, qu'aille manger la fée, tout partout, mon chi, descend Grosley, mardi qu'a vini, à 6h30, en l'école Grosley, vini écouter Kenson Casimir. Vini di sa qui a affecté les autres. Vini, pas où était derrière, on sorti de où, c'est madame là, on sorti de où.
There you have it, St. Lucia. We have lost a stalwart, we have lost a soldier, but her memory lives on. We'll continue to celebrate her and her family. We will celebrate other persons who were members of the Labour Party who fought so hard for bread, justice, and freedom for you, the people of St. Lucia. We want to say special condolences to the Mathre family, her husband, her children, whom she has left behind, and of course, condolences to the people of Grosley. In this next video, we take you right back to the constituency office of the parliamentary rep of Grosley, where one of his constituents had this to say about our 3-year victory anniversary. Let's take a listen.
Well, I'm right here in a gathering of our minister, Honorable Kenson Casimir. He defeated Spider in the north, and he has done so much for the 3 years he has been there. More than Spider did in his 10 terms, which Spider had called him a little boy. In community centers, we have the community center in Grand Riviere, we have the police station in Grosley, we had the World Cup, ICC 2020 World Cup upgrade. He upgraded our stadium, plus the youth economy. Kenson has done so much. I have to give somebody else time to talk, but if I have to continue speaking, I will not end. But this is the best minister we have in the north in a long time, apart from Julian Arhan, Mario Michel, Emma Hippolyte. But I will rate him with Julian Arhan because he is more of a hand person in terms of passion, and his logo, the party logo was putting you first, and his logo during the election was about you. And he's trying his best to make sure he go according to the party logo and his logo. So I hope everybody is watching. Don't let nobody fool you all. And please re-elect Mr. Kazimi. I would love that from you all, St. Lucian, because we know what is good. And he is the best for now. And until he's ready to retire.
My cousin is the best. Just tell us about Kenson and the 3 years, the wonderful 3 years.
Ready? Oh yes, Kenson is the best rep we ever have in Grozile. Kenson had do better than Spider. From the time Kenson enter, Kenson fix up house for the elderly, help the children, help those that wasn't working, and the home health program, give the elderly home health program, and Kenson is doing all what he can, and Kenson is the one for 2026. Baby, all the way!
First of all, I want to say Happy Liberation Day to, of course, supporters of the St. Lucia Labour Party and St. Lucia on a whole. And I'd like to congratulate the St. Lucia Labour Party government led by the very Right Honourable Philip J. Pierre for the 3 years of progress we've seen so far. And for me, honestly, it feels like 10 years because we've seen so much progress in so many sectors of society. But to get to my boy, Kenson Baby Kazime, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of all that you've achieved in your life so far, and I'm proud of all the work that you have done for the constituency of Grozile, and we know there's a lot more to come. There's a lot more. It's only 2 more years till we call the next elections, and I know that the 2 years are going to be truncated into 10 years. Well, 10 years truncated into 2 years because this government is working and will continue to work.
There you have it. That was Ja Grozile for you. Now, I know we started the road early, but we really wanted to have conversations with the parliamentary representatives. And from Grozile, we took ourselves over to Babonneau. We were at the Babonneau Multipurpose Center in the heart of Babonneau, Babonneau proper. And Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot blew our minds away with the plans that she has for this constituency. We were able to grab her for a few moments during her time of celebration with her constituents, and we had a very in-depth conversation. But you'll hear for yourselves as to what we discussed.
Because Babonneau people just started coming in. Madam Minister, we are so happy to be here with you. Of course, you won on July 26, 2021.
Definitely.
Take us back to that day. What was that like for you?
Oh, well, that day it started, I went to church in the morning around 6 a.m. and I prayed and I left everything in the hands of the Lord.
Amen.
So when I came out, I saw the whole schoolyard by the secondary school, people line up from here to Timbuktu. I said, wow, these people mean business.
Wow.
So I was able to get my voters list, and people started coming to me, asking me where they should go and vote. And I started right there on the ground directing people on where they should go and vote. But
and then
I saw so many people coming to me, I said, well, that was a good vibe.
But then you won. What has that been like?
Okay, well, the day of election was a little, you kind of in suspense. You're not sure what the movement is on the ground. But by the time of the close of the polls, we started hearing different candidates pulling through, and gradually I saw myself in a steady race. I said, well, at least I'm holding my grounds. And around 8 o'clock, Timothy Pollard said Ezekiel won, and he put a tick. So everybody said, but why? And the people, they were a little taken aback. But people who understand Babonneau politics tell you, I am winning that election because some of my major boxes were still behind. So by the time my 31st box came out, I edged Ezekiel. By the second one, I kept the lead, and that was it. By the 33, we had 33 boxes, and I pulled through. And then I saw people came in from all over. by the constituency office, traffic was jammed. Those persons coming from Fongasso, they could not come down. The police had to make them go back. But it was one big celebration. So reflecting on today, it's like, let's do it again.
Hey, let's do it again. Yes, St. Lucia. So we are live here in Babonneau celebrating with the parliamentary representative for Babonneau, Honorable Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot. She's won. She's on the ground. She was out for some time. She's back with us. And you know, I know that you have accomplished a few things in Babonneau. If you can just walk us very quickly through some of your major highlights.
Okay, my major highlights is one where I have used the CDP funds very effectively on the ground in every little community. We have divided Babonneau in zones. There are 5 zones, and when I distribute the resources, we ensure that every zone get their contribution. So we have done footpaths, we have done drainage, we have repaired over 100 houses, we have built about 12 houses, we have repaired all the 6 community buildings in Babonneau. We completed the Babonneau, the Lague Primary School, which is a state-of-the-art, a smart school. Then we are completing the water project in Debara, that is almost about $1 million worth. And we have fixed the roads, we have put in signs in different parts of Babonneau. We have built about 6 bus stops with shelters. And then the most important thing are the social programs. The social programs, you may not see them as infrastructure, but that's touching people's lives. To give the children support for education. We are giving support for health. We are actually giving the vouchers. We are giving food. Babonneau people are not going hungry. And then I've created employment for the youth. I'm giving quite a bit of support for only last night we had the launching of a football competition. I pledged to give them support. Those who won the second tier semi-professional league, I gave them $10,000. Then the cricketers have a competition going on now. I gave them another $10,000. They are going to Dominica, another $3,000. I help the farmers, give them fuel vouchers for irrigation during the dry season. And now the major project is starting in Maki, the drainage project. And Babonneau is going to get a lion's share of the World Bank $10 million project. We're getting our lion's share.
Now we take you over to Castries South. Honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Let me tell you, Cicero was packed and we expected absolutely nothing less. Last year was a vibe and this year was a bigger vibe. And I know that Dr. Ernest Hilaire has been working extremely hard. We had a successful Jazz and Arts Festival. We had an excellent carnival, tourism arrivals like never seen before. Let me tell you, we continue to do great in terms of ensuring that our economy grows and that you, the people of St. Lucia, feel the economic impact. As you know, when we have tons of visitors to our country, barbers, hairdressers, makeup artists, taxi drivers, bus drivers, Airbnbs, tour operators, you name it, they are all benefiting. But the celebration continued in Castries South, and this is what Dr. Hilaire had to say about the 3-year anniversary.
Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Hey, I'm good. Still haven't recovered from carnival yet, but yeah, but it's very good. I mean, we've been, as you can see, it's been a great afternoon. This morning we had our award ceremony for the top 10 performers from the CPA, which was a fantastic parents, children. We hosted them, gave them their bursary, their devices, and hosted a lunch for them. We had lunch together, and we moved into this. We also have a camp going on for about 100 children. We wanted to make sure for 2 weeks we took the children off the streets. So there's quite a lot going on in Castries South as we approach our 4th anniversary. So, and you can see just from the turnout, it's a really good feeling.
I heard the party started really early today.
Yeah, it started early. And like I said, we started from morning with the ceremony, the music been playing. Barbecue. I don't even know where they get all the barbecue from, to be honest with you, because they've been barbecuing. I saw ladies bringing in pilau and bringing in green fig salad and from all over the constituency. So it's been really good, really, really good.
Anything you want to say to your constituents?
Well, I want to say thank you so very much for everyone who have supported me. Ever since I became elected as parliamentary rep, the support has really been overwhelming. Our government promised to put the people first, to put you, the people, at the foremost of whatever we do. And we have been trying real hard. We're not perfect. We do mistakes from time to time, but we'll never forget why we're in politics is to put you, the people, first. And we'll continue to work as hard as we can to put you, the people, first. And when this finishes next week, it's back to school supplies. Last year we helped over 500 children support to go back to school, and we're looking forward to the next 2 weeks to help all the mothers and fathers to send the children back to school. So thank you so very much for the support. We'll continue to work hard for you, the people.
And finally, before we take our first break, we took you down quickly. We want to take you down quickly to Dennery North, Sean again. And it was no surprise that we ended on a hype on Friday evening in Dennery North because the vibes was coming. The Dennery segment was coming. The Western was coming. Let me tell you, I was there and I was just prepared to go hours and hours with the people of Dennery North because it was so exciting. Now, Honorable Sean Edward has a tremendous gift of bringing those people together and being able to relate to people from all walks of life. He had a very good recount of his achievements so far, but we'll just share a quick snippet with you, and then we'll take our first break.
Honorable Sean, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Happy to have you, Lisa.
Thank you.
I know you've been on the road from morning, taking in the celebrations in the various constituencies. We're happy to have you.
Ladies and gentlemen, of the supporters of Honorable Sean, I now invite every single supporter into this action as we
We have a big session happening there. We'll come right back to you, but we're having a conversation with the parliamentary rep. Yes, sir.
As I was saying, I'm really happy to be here tonight with my people.
Okay, let's go.
Yes. I was making the point, Lisa, that I'm extremely pleased to be here tonight with my people, celebrating 3 years since the last election victory, and it has been 3 years of continued progress for the people of Dennery North and by extension the people of St. Lucia. When we look at our work program as executed in Dennery North in the last 3 years, we have a lot to be thankful for. And you have to juxtapose that against a period in opposition where we were made to suffer. There was a deliberate ploy by Alan Chasney to starve opposition MPs of state resources. And so we were relegated to bystanders in our own constituencies, notwithstanding the fact that we had won handsomely at the polls. But there was a deliberate ploy, as I said, to ensure we had no resources to execute projects in our own constituencies.
I think he's so excited. But Honorable Sean Edward, 3 years victory, 3 years victory. What does that mean for you?
Well, it means a lot. November will be 13 years since I've been elected as parliamentary rep for Dennery North. And even before that, there's a milestone in September where I eclipsed the Honorable Ferdinand Henry as the longest serving parliamentary rep for Dennery North. So we have a lot to be excited about for 2024. Not just the milestones, but as I said, the work program we've been able to execute in the last 3 years. The Larissos Health Center has been reinstated, the Austin Hill Road, quite a few community roads have been upgraded. We've been able to provide assistance to thousands of constituents along the lines of housing, educational support, medical, farmers. But it's more than just the infrastructure, but the premium that we've been able to place as an administration on the social components of our development. Today, as I speak, we have more young persons from Dennery North at universities in all pockets of the globe, compliments the St. Lucia Labour Party and the policies that have been put forward by our Honourable Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre. And this, I need to make the point also that as good a parliamentary rep as you are, you can never do it on your own. You need the support of your people, but very importantly, you need the support of the Honorable Prime Minister and your cabinet colleagues, the executive members of the Labour Party. So what you see here tonight is really a reflection of what we've been able to put together for about 13 years. And on a night like this, when we're celebrating our third election victory, we have to spare a thought also for the Honorable Anthony Torrance, who was the first man to be elected on a Labour Party ticket in Dennery North. And what we're doing here is really building on the foundation that would have been laid by the Honorable Anthony Torrance. And I'm extremely pleased to be the face of that movement. With 2 years to go, I can tell you there are a lot of plans afoot for further development and more projects to be executed in Dennery North for the people. And again, I have to place on the record my gratitude to the political leader and Prime Minister for the support that he's been able to give to me along this journey. Oui, of course, many body sa Creole. Also, nous ici à célébrer 3 l'année depuis nous gain élection, dernière élection. Ça au cas ici à l'année pile monde yo vinn ici porter. Et nous pas ça faire ça si nous pas tenir tout le monde qui travaille ensemble. Et qu'on a changé entre 2016 et puis 2021, 2016 to 2011. Premier ministre qui était là, le ministre Chassenay, il était fait un point pour déposer des membres opposition parce qu'il n'y a pas personne là pour faire projet constitutionnel. Mais malheureusement, nous allons en élection, nous gagnons, et puis en 3 années, nous avons fait un chai travail. Et quand c'est pas de parler about Health and Salary Resource, Chimé Austin Hill, et puis plusieurs autres chimés, et puis l'autre projet nous avons fait, nous avons aidé, et puis médical. Nous avons une pharmacie pour nous avons bâti caille bay moun mais on sait pas là qui plus près de moi comme ministre de l'éducation c'est quelques jeunes moun en Valia qui a une opportunité pour aller à l'école l'autre pays pour faire docteur pour faire ingénieur et c'est moun ça maman yo papa yo pas ni l'argent pour prendre loan pour $100,000 pour venir à l'école le gouvernement nous et puis policy scholarship il a fait possible pour ces moun ça aller l'autre pays et swap training and come back to serve our country as professionals.
Minister, any last words for your constituents? 3 years in office.
Yes, 3 years in office. 3 election victories so far. There are quite a few persons who have speculated as to whether I will be contesting the next general election. I can't wait for the next election. I can't wait for the campaign to start. And I am extremely confident that the people of Dennery North will remain with the St. Lucia Labour Party. Because, I mean, when you do a comparison of Dennery North under the SLP and Dennery North under United Workers Party, it is glaring that it is during the reign of the Labour Party that Dennery North stands to benefit most as a constituency that has made a significant contribution to the economic development of this country, particularly in the days when banana was green gold and the banana revenue was substantial, not just in community but for the country. So I'm happy to be part of Team Labour. We have a formidable cabinet. We have a champion leader in the Honourable Philip J. Pierre. And I believe in the 3 years we have done extremely well for the people of St. Lucia. We have to keep our focus. Flaboga parle en chai bêtise que vous avez fait. Because you parler about, we will just keep our eyes fixed on the prize and continue to program for the well-being of the people of St. Lucia, irrespective of their station in life.
Thank you. Sean again.
Sean again.
All right, that again. Yes, St. Lucia, we just heard from the Prime Minister of Dennery. From the Prime Minister of Dennery, the parliamentary representative for Dennery North, Sean again.
There you have it, St. Lucia. Just a summary of our 3-year anniversary in office. Let me tell you, the vibes just start because Sunday, August 25th, we will take ourselves to the streets to march and show, demonstrating our support for our parliamentary representatives, for our government, and for our Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J. Pierre. We'll start at 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, August 25th at the SAB, commonly known as the VG Playing Field. We'll walk down the waterfront, walk around Castries, and end at the People's University, what we know as the Castries Market Step. Grand celebration with your government for its celebration of its 3-year anniversary. We'll take our break, and when we come back, we'll have a conversation, a very good conversation with our guest. Welcome back. You're watching For the Record, a program brought to you by the St. Lucia Labour Party. In studio, we have Mr. Ignatius Shaw. He's the DCA chairman. And you may not know what DCA is, but I think almost everybody should know what DCA is. It's that entity that regulates a lot of the structures that you see going around in St. Lucia. But we'll allow him to tell us a bit more about that. The Development Control Authority's chairman is in studio with us, and we want to say a special good night to you. Mr. Shaw, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Lisa. I think it's my first time on For the Record, but I have been in the studio previously.
And it definitely will not be your last.
Well, always available to help to inform and educate the nation.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. So let's jump right into it. We're at a point where we've seen some information coming to the public. And we want you to just walk us through this process of how St. Lucia has been able to successfully establish some sort of protection where the PMA is concerned. There has been some speculation that we could have lost our UNESCO World Heritage achievement, I want to call it. Our PTOR is something that has really been the pinnacle of us marketing our country. And we know that our government, of course, campaigned on a promise of protecting the patrimony of the people, protecting the culture, protecting what is St. Lucia. And we want you to guide us through this conversation as to your role and how we got here.
Well, again, let me thank you for this opportunity to share with the nation some of what the progress that we've been making towards the protection of our heritage and our patrimony. And of course, it's appropriate that it's on the eve of our emancipation anniversary. The PTOR management area was inscripted in 2004. Of course, that was done during the term of Prime Minister Kenny Anthony at the time. I think I was a member of the cabinet at that time. And of course, it was a lot of work towards getting St. Lucia first nominated, because there's a whole protocol. You must satisfy an entire regime of criteria for you to then be nominated, and then it's the process of being inscribed. So that was done, and just prior to the inscription, of course, the government had to declare the boundaries, send the maps and so on of the area. That was done, and there was, in the Gazette of March 8, 2004, there was the notice given of the intention to declare the area in an environmental protection area under the Physical Planning and Development Act. But however, over the years, there were other activities taking place within the PTOR management area, and which brought consternation and concerns to the World Heritage Committee of UNESCO. And so the government had to go to the World Heritage Committee to defend our position on several occasions. And one of the things that they've been requesting is that, well, first, one of the first things that happened after one of the first interventions by the government was that we got commissioned the Haida report, which sort of gave an outline of some of the things that could be and could not be done within the zone. Then that was not satisfactory. So later down, we had the limits of acceptable change report or study. And again, they drilled down into, finer details of some of the things and places where you could build and you could not build, etc. The color schemes of buildings, the elevations you could build on, what could happen within the zones along the coastline at certain altitudes, etc., etc. So all of that was adopted by a cabinet conclusion, and which guided the DCA in making decisions for developments in the area. In more recent time, what happened was that we have had legal challenges, and then the court said to us that this is a policy, but it is not enshrined, it is not incorporated into the Physical Planning and Development Act. So after a long period of battling, and during this term of the DCA board, we pursued the matter, and with the guidance and support of the Office of the Attorney General, and where we finally got the minister to sign off and have the order by way of statutory instrument number 7 of 2004, of 2024, sorry, 20 years later. And that is a very significant achievement for the department. I personally would like to thank the members of the DCA board, present and past, as well as the technical team within there, led by Ms. Karen Augustine, and the legal officer, Ms. Marceline Jawahir, who has been very persistent and tenacious in the work that they have been doing, among all the other technical officers in the department who have worked through holidays and nighttime, overtime, to make sure we get this thing to the legal department of the AG's chambers to finally get the SI in place. And of course to our Minister Stevenson King, who got it, who signed off on the order.
So we have this order, and of course, hats off to you in ensuring that your department and your organization was able to achieve this from the time that you came in and the time that you were charged with the responsibility to get it done. In our opinion, you were able to do this in such quick time. And of course, you have paid significant tribute to your staff. Where does that leave us now? What does this mean for the average St. Lucian who believes that anybody who comes to our country can still build on a certain part of the PITO? What exactly does the legislation offer in terms of protection against that?
Well, okay, it is the statutory instrument now makes what was then the limits of acceptable change. All of those guidelines have been adopted or incorporated into the regulation. And so that what it does is to clearly define the boundaries of the PITO management area, which includes along the Soufriere town and going back east towards Diamond Estate, and back along the Sulphur Spring, and going back as far as the Livroin River, as far as I think the Myers Bridge, and down the Livroin River into the sea on the west coast. And it still goes out at sea, and the marine spaces there going back to the Soufriere town. All of that is part of the marine management of the PITO management area, which includes a lot of the Soufriere marine management area, as well as the two peaks, the two pitons, and what is called piton mitan, where you have the Tet Paul trail. So all of that is included within the piton management area, including the area, the very controversial Mondesi Estate area falls within, or at least a substantial part of that estate falls within the piton management area, because the Livroin River runs through the estate at the base of the Go Piton. In addition to that, well, why it is inscribed is because it has outstanding universal value. An outstanding universal value, meaning that it is not only of value just to the people of St. Lucia, but it is of value to be preserved for the rest of the world, for the universe, that it represents who we are. In other jurisdictions, you will have, say, for example, a lot of man-made stuff that have monuments that have been inscribed as within World Heritage Sites, and other major landmarks that represent countries. But our pitons and our national flag, this is what we have as what shows the hope and aspirations of our people rising out of the sea and out of the ground.
Yes.
You know, so it depicts who we are and what we aspire to be, reaching the top by striving, as we say as old Sumerians, if I could pull a plug for St. Mary's. But even them, long before independence, on the St. Mary's College crest has the pitons, and it says we reach the top by striving. And so, like recently we had this very good soca, groovy soca, I'm a damn proud St. Lucian, and that is what this whole piton management area represents. And so we have to be proud of it, and we have to do everything that we can do to protect it, not just for us. It was bequeathed to us by the ancestors and by nature. We found it. You know, all of those who came to this island, the Europeans, the Africans, and the original people of St. Lucia found the pitons there.
Right.
So we have to preserve it for generations to come.
Now, you speak with so much passion, and it really brings about a deeper understanding. And if we haven't felt that way, we should feel that way as to what the piton means for us. And I'm really appreciative of the example you gave as a Sumerian, and you know, it's on the crest. Even my old school, my primary school has it, and we're nowhere near Soufre, but we have it, and these things are part of who we are. But right before we got to that, you brought up an interesting discussion, and I know that this matter is before the courts, but the people of St. Lucia want to know, because of this legislation that, well, this document which is now law, how does it impact, or how is it going to be impacted, if you can tell us, by the situation that currently exists with the Mondesi estate?
Well, what I do know is that, of course, that matter preceded us having the statutory instrument and the regulation being made now. So that would be for the court to rule on. However, what I would say is for future developments or for future applications that will be coming before the DCA, we now will have, as the legal minds say, that we will have the legal legs to stand on in making our decision. And it is all good for good institutional building and for good governance in a society. And this is what is required, that you have to put in place. If you have to be governed, you have to have the rules, and you have to have the rules enshrined in law. And so once it's there, then you can better be able to maneuver legal challenges that may arise. So I think that is the good thing about having the limits of acceptable change guidelines incorporated into the Physical Planning and Development Act.
Mr. Jha, how long have you been the chairman of DCA?
Well, this is the second time I have been chairman of the DCA. I was chairman in the period 2014 to 2016. And again, with the new Philip J.P. administration, I was called to serve again as chair. In another life, I served as the Minister for Physical Planning and Development. So I have a little background of what takes place in the department.
Now, in your first instance as chair, were there the threats that exist today?
Well, of course, even before the inscription of the piton management area, there were issues. You may recall, if you will have read, at one time, it was called a harebrained crackpot idea that someone wanted to have a cableway system going to the top of the piton.
I remember hearing that.
And then there were, in fact, when the Jalousie Hotel was being constructed, there were lots of pressure groups that were formed and against having that type of development within the area. So even Derek Walcott had a poem about this. I don't remember the verses to the top of my head, but you know, he did make his contribution among others who had met to and wrote to the Prime Minister and were very vocal about having any activities that would compromise the outstanding universal value of the Peter management area. So yes, then there was the sale of the lease of part of the state property, which was the Margaret Tooth estate where we had the senior citizens. Part of that property was leased for the construction of a resort, and that also triggered concerns by the World Heritage Committee. We have had also in more recent time and leading up to the last general election, the developments that took place at the Mondesi estate. So, of course, and these matters have had the battles in the court, before the court of law. And so that's where it is at. But at least for the future, we know that we have done what was expected of us by the World Heritage Committee. As we are party, we signed on to an agreement, and with these international agreements, you have to have the compliance as anything else. But importantly, as a nation, we have to do the right things. And if we're going to have investments into our country, investors must also know that this is my house, and these are the rules by which you're going to operate within my household. And that is what the legislation seeks to do, and this is what planning is all about, in trying to get order in the society, ordered development and structured development.
Now, Mr. Job, I'm really happy that we're at a place where we can feel like we're in the all clear as it relates to legislation and regulation and what is allowed and what is not allowed in the PMA, right?
Yeah.
We're at that point. So I think this is truly a significant achievement for you and your department, but certainly for the government and Honorable Philip J. Pierre, because that is something that we heavily campaigned on. Now I'm coming to another situation that the people of St. Lucia had to deal with. And when I speak of what we campaigned on, right before the last general election, tons and scores of persons were on the Casabah beach protesting, not against development in St. Lucia, but protesting and fighting for our patrimony to be preserved. And I'm referring to the situation at the time that existed with the Cabot development. It was very unclear to St. Lucians if we would have had some level of access to the beaches. And the agreement that was signed with the previous administration, the previous Prime Minister, and what happened with the NIC, we are all aware of that. But when the Labour Party, or when this government came into office, the mandate was to ensure that we welcome investment, but as you said, you are coming to our home, so you have to play by our rules. Since you came into office, if you can share with us some of the decisions that have been made through your department to ensure that that particular project allows for the preservation of our culture, our heritage, our patrimony.
Well, of course, some of the things I think the Prime Minister Pierre had promised during his campaign, and his party promised, was about the protection of our heritage, our patrimony. There was people were very vocal about restrictions to use of the Queen's Chain. Now it is the King's Chain. And so as part of that, we have had extensive discussions with the St. Lucia National Trust and a lot of the other relevant agencies in the country, as we call them as the referral agencies, looking at how to better manage those areas. And one of the things that allows us to do this is under Section 34(2) of the Physical Planning and Development Act, where the minister can place an order, as we did for the Peter management area, and to list a number of sites that are to be environmental protection areas so that people cannot just willy-nilly interfere with these spaces. So for the Kazamba area, that too, it was one of the first applications that we had to treat with. We met with the officials at Cabot, we had meetings with the Commissioner for Crown Lands, and we did the site visits, and you know, all the stakeholders we met who had expressed concerns. Those who had there were piles of letters and that were written to the DCA about, you know, with all the concerns expressed. So what we did was to consider all of this, and we had made recommendations to the minister. One, that the area which is what part of the Queen's Chain that is occupied by Marjorie, and the rest of the beach area there, that was by a cabinet conclusion had agreed to lease to the Cabot development, that the cabinet then revoked the decision of cabinet, because cabinet can change its mind, because there was no lease agreement, there was an intention to lease. So cabinet changed its mind so that that property is retained by the state.
Right.
So the public has free access to it. In addition to that, the current access you have going to the beach, which is where you drive straight down to the beach, which is parallel. There's a drain that runs parallel to the Cotton Bay development. That straight road actually was on the property of Cabot. The public right-of-way was going through where you have the security checkpoint. It would wind through the property and get to the back of Marjorie. So what we caused the government to do was to acquire that parcel all the way to the beach. And it is the intention of the government, as announced in Parliament by the minister and in other places, that the government intends to put a proper driveway to the beach, paved, and to put proper parking spaces, and to put other amenities, toilet facilities for the public.
Right.
In addition, the beachhead, which is a little sort of a peninsula, like a rock going out into the sea, jutting out into the sea, to the north of the beach, that fell as that was part of the original lease by Cap Estate to the original owners of the property. So what had to be done, because you cannot just scratch off a lease. So the government had to do a compulsory acquisition of that parcel, where you have included in there is what is called the Amerindian burial site.
Right.
So all of that was acquired by the government of St. Lucia to put back in the hands of the people of St. Lucia. So this is what has happened.
Okay.
The last thing that has happened, just today, the board has decided, well, of course, Cabot had put in an application for them to put in the rest of the trail that goes to some of the disputed areas of having access, unhindered access to the Donkey Beach and Secret Beach. So that we just addressed today. There are certain other conditions that are to be fulfilled, and we're going to be engaging the developer in meeting the compliance, safety compliance, etc. But this is the kind of work that we have been doing ever since this DCA board and the government of St. Lucia got into office. These were promised, and this is delivered. And so I tell people often that for me, and I say to St. Lucians, you know, sometimes I don't know how many of us recite the national pledge. But then if you think about it and you say, with God as my guide, I pledge my allegiance to the people to St. Lucia, not to the United States, not to England, not to Europe, not to Canada, to St. Lucia. I proclaim that I will serve it. I will serve my country with pride and dignity in the pursuit of excellence, justice, and equality for all. If we reflect on those words that was submitted by the late Jeff Elver, the mighty Pele, this is very, very deep, very profound words.
Indeed.
If we reflect on those, then we will have a very great country.
Because there's purpose behind the work that we do.
That's what it is all about. It's about who we are, and we have to preserve that little island that was bequeathed to us.
No wonder you're the chair of DCA, because we could sense the passion, St. Lucia. We can sense the passion, Mr. Jha, and understand why you do what you do. And many persons may not understand the role of the DCA, but it's regulatory bodies like yours that allow for a level of structure. I know we are all out of time, but maybe there might be something in addition you may want to share with us, or perhaps some projects we can look forward to, if you can, give us a sneak peek.
Well, the government of St. Lucia there's so many development projects that the DCA have approved in recent time, in the north and south of the island. I think there's been some groundbreaking ceremonies in the Rodney Bay area, the Pope site, the Mont Pima. Of course, that is a work in progress. They're still doing the ESIAs. We have the GPH is supposed to submit before us. These are things that are in the works. You have the halls of justice. Again, these are matters that are in the works and being reviewed. There's a massive residential development to take place, and currently I think ESIAs are ongoing. Down in the Roseau area, that is a project by the NIC.
That's in the Masque area?
Yeah, just before the Masque area, at the end of the Roseau stretch. There's also the work ongoing with the rehabilitation of the West Coast Road, and there are some facilities for the vendors to have a more structure and more order, rather than having a lot of these facilities jutting out onto the highway, which creates a lot of hazards, public hazards, both for motorists and for the vendors themselves. So the Department of Physical Planning with the Ministry of Infrastructure, there are plans to put a sort of more central area closer to the Vanna Gap, going in that way. So there's, and a lot of I think the Department of Housing, they also have quite a few plans that are under consideration now. I think there was one of them that we had approved in the Casabah area. So in there are lots of other private sector investments, and again, because of the sort of increasing demand for the short-term rentals, the Airbnb types, you have many and increasing types of developments in the north, and surprisingly in other some parts of the island, particularly in the Choiseul area, which I think is now becoming the new tourism capital.
Tourism, yeah.
I guess because of short distances from the Hiwanura airport. All of that too, we have to be watching closely, and the board has a lot of concerns, and we have been working with communities to try to be sure that they have things properly, because you have to look down the road what is going to happen with the landscape.
Exactly. So you have your hands full over the next few months, and we wish you all the best. So far, we must say we've seen some quick activity happening with DCA, some of which you've already mentioned. Some projects were announced, and in no time, approvals are going. Sometimes people have to understand that approvals also happen in phases.
Well, it is not just like you going to submit something last night and it's going to be approved tomorrow, because there must be a process of the appraisals by the technical teams. You would have, dependent on the type of development, you would have to undertake environmental social impact assessments to see whether that is suitable, or whether, the sort of impact it will have socially, environmentally, in the spaces, and whether we can do with that at all. And some of them we have to reject totally. So there are projects that are rejected because they are not compatible with where they want to be located, etc. So, but these things, these processes take time, and we always tell developers to give yourselves lead time. Do not just appear tonight and expect the DCA can sign off
next week
and just,
or 2 days.
you know, in 2 days. It does not happen that way. So the architects, the designers, the planners know the protocols, and they ought to try their utmost to follow those. Right?
Indeed. Well, Mr. Jha, we want to thank you for spending some time with us this evening. I really believe it has offered some level of clarity as to what that legislation means for St. Lucia, where we are with it, and, you know, even really appreciative of how you've explained the Casabah beach area and the Cabot situation. I believe that, you know, now we are armed with that information. We know how to speak better on it, and we look forward to the other projects. We want to wish you and your department well, and again, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you, and again, wishing all St. Lucians happy Independence, Emancipation anniversary. Keep safe, and be good to yourselves and your communities.
Absolutely. There you have it, St. Lucia. We just had a very interesting conversation with the chairman of the Development Control Authority, DCA, Mr. Ignatius Shaw. We're happy that he was able to take time out of his busy schedule to be with us this evening. We want to wish you and your family a happy Emancipation Day. Tomorrow, we know that Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre will make several major announcements that will impact your lives in a positive way. We are especially looking forward to the implementation of an increase for government pensioners to $725 and the announcement of what a minimum livable wage will be. Many consultations have occurred, and we know Prime Minister and his cabinet have received several reports along with the Commission, and Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre will make a special announcement tomorrow in Soufrière as we continue to celebrate, or as we begin to celebrate, a month of emancipation activities. It is so very important for us to understand who we are, but it is even more important for us to be able to share and impart that knowledge onto the future generation. In this fast-paced world, people, technology, YouTube, TikTok, you know, we're not bashing it, but it is so easy for you to lose sight of who you are and your identity if you are not reminded of that and where you came from. That is why emancipation is one of our favorite initiatives or favorite activities. Thanks to the government of St. Lucia, thanks to Honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire, Minister with responsibility for culture, for ensuring that the celebration of emancipation is not just one day, but an entire month. So we wish you a very wonderful Emancipation Day, and we'll hope to see you again, same time, same place, next week, God spare, every Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. on Choice Television. Good night.